What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast. We're here at the Culture Wave Media Network, back to discuss episode 7, the penultimate episode of season 3 of HBO's The White Lotus. Thank you to all our newest fans that have been checking us out and following our White Lotus coverage. Thank you guys for tuning back in. I am one of your hosts. I'm Darian Scalamoni. I am joined by Liz Seiko.
Hello, hello.
The Queen of Saxton.
No, I have to give a shout out to our commenters on our last video before we start this episode, because I have been called out that I was saying Saxon's name completely wrong. And I'm going to be real, I had no idea that I was saying it wrong. So thank you to our commenters for calling me out and having my back. I see you guys, I hear you, and keep the comments coming. And DJ, how dare you not tell me that I spent an entire episode saying the character's name wrong?
I know, that was on me. I thought the first time you said it, I was like, oh, I think it was just a mistake. And then like you kind of kept going, and then I was like,
no, and I tell you, truly had no clue that I was saying it wrong.
Well, now we got it, though. We got it in the perfect timing. With 2 episodes left, we know where we need to be. And we're there. We're there. But this is a big episode. I want to start by saying also, maybe this is part of the reason why, thank you to all the new people that have been checking us out, but the HBO series has now reached another high. Like every week this season, they've kind of been growing their audience. And Michael, who's producing this episode, also is now trying to catch up. I don't know if he's going to catch up by the finale, but we have last week was a series high of 4.2 million viewers. This week is 4.8 million viewers. So they're climbing up the ladder. No more Severance. So I think that kind of also can add to the viewership jump because people are looking for a new show. And White Lotus is kind of quick to binge because it's just, you don't need to go back and watch several seasons.
Yeah.
Every season's an anthology. So it is cool that they're getting buzz. But this is an episode that we were discussing in our group chat, me, you, and Zach. And I think we're a little disappointed with the output. Am I speaking out of tune, or do you agree with me?
I wouldn't say disappointed because I still love this show and I still love all the characters and I wasn't like dissatisfied. I just think for the second to last episode, a lot of people were expecting it to lead a little bit more into the shooting that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like at this point, we're at a stalemate of just like it could truly be anybody and they left it at an open note. I think on purpose that the next episode is just going to be bonkers and things are going to be going crazy from the moment that we start.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that at the same time, we do get a lot of answers, but then there are certain storylines where it kind of just feels repetitive at this point. I know Zach had expressed concern about kind of the Ratliffs and Jason Isaacs' character, how we're kind of just seeing the same thing with him. And we've now had 3 weeks of these visions of him doing the absolute unthinkable.
I think 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's like, at what point are we gonna, even like with the very limited time we get with Piper and Lachlan this episode, it's like all we get is Lachlan saying, I want to stay here, and Piper's like, oh, I don't want that at all, basically, like in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
But like we don't get a lot more with the Ratliff family, maybe with the exception of Saxon with what happens with him at the party.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I felt like sometimes this week it was stalling a little bit. And I know that the show needs its time to build. Like I don't subscribe to a lot of people in the beginning where they're like, yeah, the show's still a little slow to me. It's like, well, that's kind of the way the White Lotus is. It builds. I do feel like the previous 2 seasons, and I'm not going to lie, I always I have to go back and rewatch season 1 because I don't remember a lot of it.
Okay.
It was 2020, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago.
It may have come out 2021.
Yeah, because I know they shot it during COVID.
Yeah.
So I don't remember kind of the way it was ramping up, but I do remember it having like a crazy finale. Like with season 2, I felt like we were getting like a nice ramp up period by the time we got to halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
And with episodes 4, 5, and 6, I felt that. And now this episode, I kind of felt like they hit the brakes a little bit. Maybe it was the pacing. Maybe it was because I was seeking out more answers, but you didn't feel the same way, or?
I don't know. I think it also because throughout just our conversations of the last season, you are very invested in like the family, I think.
With the Ratliffs you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think their storyline this episode was definitely on the back burner a little bit, while other character storylines were on the front. And so
two in particular, yeah. I think.
And so for me, I think that my favorite storylines were like focused on this episode, which is probably why I was a little bit more invested, which
that would
is
make sense.
The 3 friends and then Rick.
Okay.
Those are my favorite. That's what I'm most invested in. So I think that's why I didn't hate on this episode as much as some viewers are.
It has a lower rating in comparison.
I think it's because
some of the
people
other
thought
episodes.
that it was going to be like fireworks blaring. And I think a lot of people thought that at the end of this episode, it was going to be the beginning of the shooting.
Yeah. I think
which
that's
we
fair.
didn't get.
No, we didn't get. Maybe we should go to Rick, because Rick is a lot of what, and I remember Zach and I on episode 6, right? I think it was episode 6. That was the one you missed. 2 episodes ago, right? 5. We were discussing how we thought this was kind of going to go down with Rick, and if we were going to see him actually wind up shooting Sritala's husband. Sritala's husband is played by Scott Glenn, who I know him best for, he plays Daredevil's mentor in the Daredevil Netflix show. Do you know him from anything? Could you recognize him?
I don't
Not
think
off the top of your head.
Not
Well, he's a great actor, and he plays the one that Rick is kind of out to get. He's the one that he believes killed his father. And we get this big turning point where he has essentially the gun pointed at him, and he realizes at the end of the day, this is just an old man that doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't really care. He's afraid for his life. And that's not satisfying for Rick. He wants him to feel like, he wants him to squeal. He wants him to say, I'm sorry for what I did. And he doesn't even realize what he's talking about. So 1, was that something that you were anticipating happening? And 2, how do you think it kind of propels our story forward, especially seeing what happens between him and Sam Rockwell's character after the fact?
So yes, I anticipated this because on the last episode, I totally was talking about how this probably isn't going to go the way that Rick thought it was going to go. And I also just couldn't see him shooting this man. I think that, and I've said this since early episode, this season is more about growth for Rick and getting over this like vengeance that he has against this man. And I think that's also what the audience wants. Like, we're almost rooting for him in a way to not be this killer and kind of go back to Chelsea and like let her heal him just like she wants to. And so I wasn't completely shocked by how this went down. I was a little shocked by how almost easy it was, though. Like, the bodyguards, I thought were going to get a little bit more involved. And so maybe it's something that we haven't gotten yet. Because there has to be an aftermath of him, like, attacking this very wealthy, well-known man in Thailand. Not like he didn't do anything. He held a gun to his head.
Yeah.
So, like, is there...
He pushed him.
He pushed him. I don't know. Is there going to be an aftermath? Or does Rick just learn that he's not going to get anything from this man and that it's better to let go and like move on with life?
Well, I had brought up, and I thought it seemed so far-fetched, but now as I'm seeing the way this episode played out, I'm partially like, I don't know, maybe they do go down that route. But like I was saying, imagine that there's like this thing where they follow him back to the White Lotus because they're aware of who this guy is now.
Okay.
Like, remember I was saying that? Or maybe I was on, maybe
it was on the episode that I wasn't on.
But I was talking about how I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe something happens because the bodyguards obviously are very invested. And I said when we have the episode where Rick is meeting with Sritala in the restaurant, just the two of them, they keep kind of focusing on the bodyguards in the background. And I'm like, they're doing that for a reason. Like they're trying to let the audience know like they're going to play a role at some point.
They're a presence.
100%. And I think that there is a possibility, especially now that Frank and him are having this drug-fueled binge with hookers and drugs and alcohol. I mean, his sobriety is completely shattered.
Out the window. So we go from that to the next time. Obviously, he's going to have to get out of Bangkok, but it's like, how is he getting out of Bangkok? Yeah.
Is he going to think that everything is fine? He's going to wake up the next day, he's going to be hungover, and then he's going to show back up at the hotel, and then they're going to recognize him? Like the bodyguards? Because again, it's not like they're not ever at the hotel. Sritala's been there. Obviously, she's the owner of the hotel. They have the relationship with Guy Talk, like the negative relationship with Guy Talk, so to speak. So could that play into the shooting? I think it's starting to maybe look that way, but at the same time, like you've talked about, there's so much mystery with White Lotus, and this I feel like is the most mystery we've ever had going into a finale.
A part of me thinks that maybe Rick doesn't even go back to White Lotus. Like,
leaves Chelsea high and dry?
I just don't know it. I know that she's devoted to him and truly loves him, but like, I don't know if he feels that way toward her necessarily. Or he could just be like, get out of there and come to Bangkok. Like, we can't be there. And then their storyline, like, moves on and like, that's it. That's the one thing about White Lotus is like, not every character's storyline is going to end with some huge grandiose change or like dramatic ending. Like, some of these characters are just going to leave this resort completely untouched, unbothered, and just like, oh, there was a shooting at the hotel. Can you believe it? On with life. And I think that's just what Mike White does in these shows of like, not everybody's going to be changed throughout this season. And I want Rick to be, I just don't know if he's gonna, because clearly he's going back to his ways of partying with his friend too after like doing some sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe he's falling back into his own ways, but we did get a smile out of him.
We did get a smile.
We got a smile.
I'd be so surprised if, well, we do get a weird moment with Chelsea too, with Saxon when he leaves the party and he says he wants to kind of be taught how she's able to kind of see.
Which, do we really think that he wants that? Or is he just using that as a pickup line?
Probably just using it as a pickup line.
Like, are you
he's going
in
through
him at all or no?
I'm not seeing a change in him, but he's now gone through arguably the most traumatic experience in the history of the White Lotus. So I don't know. The thing with him is, I think we talked about early on in this season, everybody was like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
And now there's like a lot of empathetic people towards Saxon being like, he's not the one that wanted this. Lachlan was the one that wanted this. And now he could have been put in another situation that was completely an insane and erroneous sexual activity. And he's like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm like, no, it doesn't matter like who this girl is, like how attractive she may be, how badly I want to make love to this woman. Like, I'm not doing it just to be watched by
make love to this woman.
Regardless, make love to this woman in front of her boyfriend who pays for everything she does. It's just this, I think maybe part of the reason I'm feeling weirder about this episode is because even through 7 episodes, I feel like I can't find a real lean on a lot of the characters.
What do you mean?
Like, I think that when in the past seasons you could at least kind of get a little bit of a handle on who the characters are, why they're doing what they're doing, and you get to that point probably by the time we're going into the finale. And right now I feel like there's so many unanswered questions and there's so many ways I don't know how things are going to go. And I guess that could be it could wind up being the best finale of the series because there's so much that is out there. And there's so many characters that know certain information about some, but others that don't know about the others. I did see the preview for next week. You didn't.
I did not.
And I don't want to say anything because I don't.
Did it give a lot away? Would you say?
There was just something with Tim that happens that because he's obviously searching for the gun.
Yeah.
And then he realizes it's not there. And it has to do with what we've been speculating for weeks about a certain fruit.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Well, they can't just not bring that back into the finale.
Yeah.
They made a point of making that a statement in the first episode. And yes, Mike White is all about divergence or diverging like the audience into different side kind of theories in order to get them away from like what's actually going to happen. But to just say like that's a poisonous fruit and then never circle back to it is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're starting to see some of the cross-pollination with certain groups of people too, but it's also I don't know what their motivations are. Like again, even with the whole Saxon and Chelsea thing, it's like Chelsea has this weird look on her face when he's getting close to her and she like gets away from it, but then at the same time she is waiting for Rick. But what happens if Rick, like you said, like never shows back up? Like what if she dies and then it has no payoff? Like the only person that would care about her dying would be Rick, and Rick might not even return.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what character would die this season that would have such a massive impact, except for the one that I keep speculating that it's going to be, because I think it would be so out of left
Which
field.
one again?
Mook. I think Mook would be so out of left field because she's the only one that has not done something sinful or guy talk. But I think guy talk is going to accidentally kill her.
Based on the conversation that they had in this last episode, or just overall leading up?
Well, I was saying that all season basically, but
I think
do.
Guy Talk is involved in the shooting somehow.
100%
I think he dies. I do.
I think it's too obvious if he's the one that dies.
I think he's gonna die.
It's possible.
I do.
Again, there could be multiple people that die.
I do know, like, at a certain point, you weren't even sure if he was going to be involved in the shooting.
Yes,
do you think
early
because now, like, the way they set up this past episode, do you think he's definitely going to be involved in it?
Yeah, I would lean towards
Yeah.
He'd probably be involved in it.
I mean, I loved their scene.
It was their best interaction all season, I think.
Yep.
Their date was great.
I think it showed so much about Mook, actually, more than anything, and it was kind of like the hidden secret behind her of that she wants him to
be an aggressor.
Yeah, which, like, truly I didn't expect. Like, low-key, I wasn't expecting her to be like, well, prove it to them, show them that you can, like, be violent, do it.
Yeah.
And he's just this sweet little man that's like, I don't want to.
But he's been pressured all season to kind of go against his ways.
Yeah.
And you're seeing week to week with Guy Talk's character, like how he's kind of hovering out of his comfort zone week by week. Like even going to talk to Tim and be like, you have something that's mine and I need it. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, I need to get this gun. Like, I need to do something that is unethical by my standards and by the hotel standards to get this back.
Yeah.
Or it will be my ass and I will lose my job. And now we also see in this episode that he is very aware of who did the robbery.
Yep.
Which we also speculated early on because there was, and I forget who it was, so I'm not going to take credit because it was online, but somebody had said that one of the 3 goons had a snake tattoo.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, totally. And everything is around snakes. It's the snakes earlier in the season. It's the snake jewelry. So they're the snakes in the grass. And Guy Talk has weeded them out. And he might have to be aggressive if something else happens, which I think is what is going to be the inciting incident for the final episode. But I think it's going to, we were talking about this, how I think Zach and I also talked about, like, how much of the shooting are we going to see? How much screen time is it going to take up? I went from thinking it could possibly be like almost the whole last episode or like 50% of the last episode to now I really don't think we're going to get a lot of it. I think we're going to bounce around a lot. And I think that the shooting is really just only going to kind of play out in real time. Like, I don't think we're going to get a lot of the shooting. And I think we're going to get more of how are we wrapping up these other storylines, while I think Guy Talk and Mook will be wrapped up in the shooting. I think that this is kind of a crazy theory now, and I never thought this, but I think it's possible that one of the women gets shot because they're involved with someone that's involved with...
You think it would be Lori?
It could be anybody. I think
Kate, I think, is safe.
I think
Kate's getting out of there.
I think Kate's the most safe,
yeah.
But I don't want to be like, it's definitely not going to happen. It still could happen. I have a weird feeling, though, it could be Jacqueline over Lori.
I think that those women are getting out of that hotel.
I know. I
don't
thought
think they're
that
involved at all.
I thought that all up until when we see what happens with Lori.
I know, but so what I was thinking is, like, yes, she sees the jewelry, but does she make the connection? Like, is she aware that, like, anything about the robbery?
Well, she stops in her tracks. I mean, she's not involved.
That's what I mean. Like, she wasn't there at the robbery to be like, that specific necklace was taken. So it's like, but does she make, like, is she able to make that connection? Or is it just like, oh, these guys are scammers. Like, he was trying to get me to give him money. And then he also has this really expensive. Well, the thing is, like, he can't afford to give his mom $10,000, but then he has all this like luxurious jewelry sitting there. So I think it's more of just like sketchy rather than she clearly knows, like, he did the robbery, because I don't really think that she has any connection to it.
Well, I also think that part of it could play into that whole fact that these 3 men are very aware that these women are rich.
Absolutely.
And that could play into, again, like, is it a robbery again? Are they trying to rob them at the end of the day? Is Lori trying to get away? Is Jacqueline trying to get away?
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, you can see that happening. And I think the reality is Valentine is a character that clearly doesn't give a shit. the way that maybe Mike White could have framed it early on and be like, oh, he just cares about these women and maybe he's doing his job. And then they are the ones that are kind of like, all right, all bets are off. Let's go crazy, men. And Lori's having sex with one of them and he's got a girl on the side and he's literally like pressuring her in a situation with his hand on her head, mind you. Like it's a power position to be like, but I really need help and I know that you can help me. And he doesn't get the help that he wants. And I think at the end of the day, they realize that they can get more money out of these women than they can get out of most other hotel guests, or maybe they've done this before.
And then what? I just don't think that guy talk now at this point, though, is going to let those men on the property.
I think they're getting on the property.
You think they're
Valentine's on the property no matter what anyway.
He is, but
he works there. He can get them in any way he wants.
I don't know if the girls are going to be involved in this shooting. I do like that theory.
It's the first time I've thought of it, by the way. Like I haven't even thought about the women being involved at any point until we get the conversation with Lori and
100%
and Valentine's friend.
Well, that's what I mean, though. I think this episode wasn't to close out people's storylines. I think it was just try and connect as many storylines as possible at this point to make anybody an option in this shooting. I mean, I think that they're safe. I could see it being like a combination of guy talk, the bodyguards coming back for Rick. I do like that theory of them coming back to the hotel to try to find him.
You're liking a lot of my theories this week.
I do like that one. But what if Rick isn't there and then they go after Chelsea instead to be like, who is this guy? I just feel like Chelsea is not safe, my girl. She's not.
I know you've been saying that.
She's not.
I put her number 2 in my dead power rankings last week.
And the fact that she didn't have a lot anymore. I don't know. She looked very apprehensive in this episode. Like she's kind of getting nervous a little bit, or just like a little bit more unease that like Rick's not there. And she keeps saying, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but she's like, things come in threes and I have a really bad feeling. Unless she's just very aware of the world.
Maybe that's Mike White's way of saying bad things happen in threes and we're getting 3 dead bodies and the last one is Rick. Or the last one's Chelsea.
I don't know if we're actually going to have multiple dead people.
We're 100%
You think multiple
dead people. We're having one. It might just be 2, but we're having one in the water and we're having one other one. Now, that could be anybody. That could be Valentine and whoever else. Like, I'm not saying a main player, but like, how many dead bodies did we get in the finale of season 2? We got like 5, 6. She killed like 4 people.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's always a fun time at the White Lotus. There's always tons of dead bodies. So
well, okay. Then so we've talked a lot about like the different possibilities with the gun too, because that's the other thing. It's like who has actual access to the gun, and it's either guy talk, the bodyguards, or
multiple guns. There's multiple guns in play.
You think there's multiple?
Well, there are.
But I don't think
Rick has a gun. The bodyguard.
He got rid of it.
Oh, you're right.
He got rid of that one.
Put it in the garbage.
So Rick's out. He doesn't have a gun.
All right. Well, the bodyguards have guns.
Mm-hmm.
Guy talk or whoever's going to be in the security office is going to have a gun.
And then.
Yeah, I guess that is it.
That's
technically.
Because you don't think that what's his name? Valentine, don't come for me in the comments, please. Does he have a gun? We don't know.
We don't know. Some of the other characters we don't. I mean, again, maybe Jacqueline's carrying a gun.
No way.
It's possible.
Absolutely not.
You don't think she's carrying? I'm just saying. So. You think it's completely out of the realm of possibility?
Completely out of the realm. No way.
You think
because they would have planted that seed before? They would have just be like, and now she has a gun. Oh my god.
All right. So this is not to be political. But going back to a conversation that happens early on about like a right-wing belief.
Yeah.
And Kate has a right-wing belief.
You think Kate has a gun?
She could be a member that subscribes to open carry. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it, but I'm saying
they would have planted the seed already of her having one. Because I don't like that of like, oh, and mysteriously she has a gun. Like in the last episode, can you believe that? Like they're just too smart at planning tracks.
I feel like we have to have one more gun in play, though. There has to be one more person with a weapon at some point. Or we don't.
Because
then it's just...
if you think back to the first opening scene when the shooting is happening, it's not like multiple shots are going off. It's like 10 seconds passes and then another one goes off. So it's not.
I think it's more than 2 though. I think it's 3 or 4
and
that
then
go off.
more go on as he. But like when he first is hearing them, it's not like a shootout's happening.
Yeah.
It's just like shots are kind of being fired.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of play.
I mean, we haven't even talked about Gary like at all.
We haven't, but we predicted that right. Obviously,
we did, that he was going to offer her money. Were you surprised that she didn't take it right off?
I was surprised by how low that fucking number was. I was saying $100K to not admit that. And listen, I want to start by saying I'm not a very wealthy person. Having said that, you're so. By the way, John Grease is so good in the show. And I still think he's just going to carry on throughout the seasons because I feel like there's so much with this character still that we don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like purposely in the dark. But the way that I love that scene too, between him and Belinda, where he's like, it's something that Tanya always mentioned. She always liked you. And, you know, I think she would want me to do that for you.
She would want, and then he's like, and she would want me to live a peaceful life and just like live on and not be bothered here in Thailand.
It's
and
crazy.
Belinda's just like, sir, like what are you talking about?
And Zion, her son, is completely on board with the idea. He's like, Mom,
take that money and run.
Yeah, and because you know what, Mom, if you don't, he's just gonna come after you anyway. And then you got no money and you can't do anything. So then what's gonna happen? How do you feel about Belinda's hesitance? I mean, again, it makes sense.
It makes sense because it causes tension, and just the way the episode went is it would have closed her storyline with Gary, Greg, whatever, like Gary, Greg, if she had just accepted that money right off the bat. So it leaves that space of like, oh, we don't know like what's gonna happen between them. Maybe he does shoot her. I still think Belinda is so safe.
We've made that very clear.
She's
by the way that her
safe,
son
safe.
looks at her in the water, looks at the body in the water. There's no way it could be his mother.
Yeah, I still think that she eventually just takes that money. I think she may go back and ask for more.
That'd be crazy.
He can afford it.
I think he can afford it. I think she might get it too.
Yeah.
She'll play the Scarface role.
She could.
She'll say, "I want 250,000," and he'll say, "This is not a negotiation." She goes, "Well, I'm wearing a wire."
Oh.
Right?
I don't know if we're gonna go into that deep.
I'm getting crazy.
Episode. I don't think
I'm
we're
getting
gonna
crazy this episode on theories.
I don't think we're gonna get into that way, but I don't think either of them are gonna be involved in the shooting at all. I think she is gonna have an intense conversation with him, probably of like, I want more money because I know what went down and I won't talk about it. But I was a little surprised that she didn't take it off the bat, but it makes sense with how the episode went because they just really want to leave all possibilities open for who's potentially getting hurt.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question. What do you need to, out of all the storylines, right? What question do you need answered to have had something fulfilled by the end of the season? Like, there's still so much up in the air going into the finale. Like, if there's one, and I know it's an ensemble, so there's tons of things you want to answer, but if there's one in particular that you're like, I need this to have a good payoff, what would it be to you? Which storyline, which character or characters?
That's a good question. I would say probably the there's still a lot open with the siblings, I think, and not even in like a sexual way, but just of like, or maybe even the whole family. Like, they still don't know anything that he's under FBI investigation. Yeah. So I would say that has a lot of loose ends that just need to be opened up for the public to know. Like, I can't wait for his wife to find out that they have their money's on lockdown. Like, they do not have money.
So if we don't get that conclusion for whatever reason,
it's a disappointing season then, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go, again, like you've talked about, I've been probably the most immersed in the Ratliff storyline, like a lot of viewers, because of how insane it's become.
Yeah.
The Piper and Lachlan thing, we've barely talked about them because they barely had anything to do coming off a crazy episode the week before that. But again, it's not an easy thing to balance an ensemble of this size, and you have to do a lot of jumping back and forth, and everyone gets their moments throughout the season. Even our boy Fabian, which we'll go back to, but the fact that he finally starts singing and they do an immediate cutaway is laugh out loud funny.
I know, but I wanted more.
Funny.
I felt bad.
I thought it was the funniest thing ever. So funny. But for me, it is Rick and Chelsea, and I think that's part of the reason why I would be really upset if the conclusion of that is even if Chelsea is the one that dies and he's not even there to witness it. To me, I'm just gonna be like, it doesn't have the same effect to me.
Really?
Yeah, it just wouldn't. And I think Amy Lou Wood has been great this season. I like their relationship together, and I like how we've seen them have their ups and downs. That I feel like there needs to be, if one of them is going to die, there needs to be a reuniting, or there needs to be a witness. Like Rick needs to witness her be shot, or Chelsea needs to witness Rick be shot, like for it to have a payoff for me. If it just ends with Rick staying in Bangkok and Chelsea's here and
or what if it is like he's coming back after the shooting already happened and she wasn't killed but she was injured? And
it wouldn't be a big enough payoff.
Really? You don't think so?
I would want it to
like
be
unraveling and being like, oh my God, I was so consumed with my past that I'm not like focusing on what my future is and like giving you what you need. Yeah,
I mean, like I think that they've pointed at that he could be the character with the spiritual awakening. I think that I don't know if I'd be completely disappointed with that. I just don't know if it would be I want either like the greatest ending ever for them or complete bloodshed. I don't want any in between.
What is the greatest ending ever of like him coming back and being like, you're everything I've ever wanted. Like, let's go on to the next place.
Ending, or like, what the greatest ending ever could be him potentially defending her.
Okay.
After being chased, and then she's at risk and he winds up killing somebody else.
I don't picture that happening.
I don't either. I'm just saying, I think that's best case scenario.
I think they're not as involved in the drama in order for that to be taking place. Like Chelsea dying to me is going to be an accidental. She happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But this is what I think about with Mook. I think the same thing with Mook, and I think it's going to be at the hands of Guy Talk, and maybe they both die. But I think that would be, to me, that would be even more tragic.
If Mook and Guy Talk die?
Both of them? Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be touched, Mook. I think that she's just the catalyst right now for getting into Guy Talk's head of like, I need to be more like violent, and here's my opportunity because now I know who
he's doing it for.
Yeah. And who he's doing it to.
Yeah.
So I think it's more, I don't think she's like going to get hurt. I think she was the catalyst for what's about to happen.
And you think he's going to die? And
then she's going to feel bad? I think he's either going to be the one that kills people and then feels so bad about it because clearly we see morally he doesn't want to do that.
Oh, you think maybe he could kill Chelsea?
I think that he is like going, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think that he's going to put himself in a position of like holding the gun to like somebody's face and then like getting freaked out about it and not wanting to do it. And then going back to it and accidentally shooting the wrong person because he was so nervous or like so amped up about killing somebody that he then shoots the wrong person.
That's possible. I don't see that happening, but it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so many different ways.
There's two, and I think that like I am excited for the finale, but I felt like this episode might have stalled the momentum a little bit for me going into the finale, where I felt like the last 3 weeks were a great ramp up to this point. Even the party was like kind of mild mannered in comparison. Yeah, like I was expecting kind of more. I mean, we predicted the Greg, Gary, Belinda conversation. Like we saw that kind of happening. The Saxon conversation obviously was strange, and I think that added a little bit to it. But even like Saxon finally has an interaction with his dad, and he's like, "Just tell me if something's going on." He's like, "Everything's fine," and I'm like,
well. That then leads to another theory that we haven't really talked on that I think you're maybe off the boat from what I'm getting is that do we think that family is just like fully killed off? Like, is nobody else
I wouldn't
hurt?
believe that.
No, because
I think there's a better chance.
Daydreams of killing his family.
I think there's a better chance of all of them staying in Thailand.
That's what I think.
Than all of them dying. I think they're going to say, you know what? Piper was right. We got to all find ourselves, and this is the best way to do it. And that might be something where we don't get a lot of questions answered, which is upsetting because it's like we've gone to the extremes with all of these characters, literally all of them with the exception of Piper, but her extreme could just be a religious extreme. But it's just that where are we going with them? And we're seeing, like I brought up, like in the preview for the episode, like the blender's going to be involved somehow. So somebody's going to die. I mean, I don't know. I
mean, do they do mass? Like, we don't want to be, I mean, they're setting it up of like, we don't want to
I have another theory that just
money.
popped up, and it would be so crazy. And I'm not even going to say it. It's not even worth saying.
What, them all drinking the juice at the same time together?
I was going to say Tim makes the juice, and Parker Posey's character is like, well, I haven't been able to do anything without my sleeping pill, so I thought I'd try one of Saxon's protein shakes. And she just takes a sip.
That would be horrible.
It's so bad.
That would be horrible. And I can't picture that.
No, I don't think that would happen either.
No.
But they're family. I don't know what the dynamic is going to be with the finale. Like,
I just want them to all to find out so badly how.
What do you want them to find out? There's so many things they could find out.
Well, they're not going to find out about the brother on brother thing. That is forever going to be like a dark secret. I feel like that the two brothers just sit with for life. They have to find out that their money's locked up. FBI is investigating all of them. That I can't wait for that shoe to drop and just it to splatter their plate. And I don't think anything.
You think we're not losing any of them?
No, I think that they're gonna be the rich family that went on vacation and blew up their own lives and now have to go and deal with their own aftermath that they've caused themselves.
I think that's fair.
I think that's what Mike White likes to do. Of like, sometimes rich people cause their own issues.
Yeah. That's fair. Anything else with the women? I feel like we haven't talked about them a lot, but they didn't really have a lot to do this week.
They're seen so good. Also, this is like the first episode where they're not gossiping about each other. They're just straight up being like, this is your problem, this is your problem, and this is your problem. And I loved it. And honestly, a part of me thinks that they are, after what Lori just like dealt with like the random hookup, having to jump out of a window, a part of me thinks she's going to come running back and be like, oh my God, he asked me for money. Did he ask you for money? Like when you slept with him.
Different guy though.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, maybe it'll be like, oh, was he a part of a scheme? And honestly, a part of me thinks this is going to bring their friendship like back together of being like, that was crazy, my experience. Oh my God, what a crazy girls trip. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I think that those girls, and I've said it, I'm being a broken record about it, are going to be the people that were like, best girls trip ever, even though they fought a little bit.
Yeah, I think that'll be their ending too. I can't really see anything happening. We could still see a Kate blow up happen.
I think
we haven't really seen it, but she's also so non-confrontational, but she does finally address something with Jacqueline in this episode.
Well, they hint that she like, years ago, Jacqueline like hooked up with Kate's husband, I think. So that's probably it. Or maybe they do just end up like never being friends again after this trip.
Yeah.
But a part of me thinks that they're just going to be like, oh, I can't wait. We'll do this.
We'll do this again next year. Yes.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is there anything else we missed? I feel like we covered all of it pretty much.
I think we covered everything. The only thing that I honestly was like a little underwhelmed with, which I know that you loved, was the hotel manager singing.
I thought it was funny because it was as soon as he goes, I just thought, again, the delivery is so great with the mixture of the edit and the writing. He's like, this is a song that I have thought about with my childhood and where I came from. And as soon as he starts singing, they immediately cut away. Yeah, and Lori's like, let's go to the Muay Thai fight. That's like the first line of dialogue that comes out of her mouth. They're like, we are so we don't want to be here to watch this. Like, we just want to go to the Muay Thai fight. And none of the characters are there to take it in. Like, none of the other characters are there to listen to Fabian. Even Mook and Gaitak, who work at the resort, are literally not there. They're at the Muay Thai fight. They're on their date because
And Belinda's not there. He invited.
Nope.
So like, is Fabian on the table of just being like really upset with his life and that
he loses his mind?
He loses it. They do love to have the managers involved in drama.
Not that intensive drama though. The first season I know, but I'm saying like last season it's more of just a sexual fantasy that kind of plays out.
But I don't know. He's been in the background like just kind of creeping around.
He was in an Oscar nominated film a couple of years ago too. Zone of Interest. He's the lead. Mm-hmm. So I mean I wasn't underwhelmed with it. I thought it was great. But
I expected more of it because
you wanted to see it play out. You wanted
not even him play out. I just expected I don't know, because they've been like hinting at it for so long. I expected a little bit more of a bigger payoff than just him quickly singing and then moving on. I get it that it's like a funny thing of like, oh, he's still not getting the attention that he deserves, but I thought it was going to amount to something bigger than that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Only other thing we didn't really touch on a lot, but Sam Rockwell, part of me is like, I'm so in love with the fact that he is on the White Lotus, but I'm also so upset that like this is going to be the extent of him in the White Lotus most likely, because like I'm like I would follow. He's one of my favorite actors currently working. I love Sam Rockwell, and all of this. I mean, obviously his monologue from a few episodes ago in his debut is like iconic now. Like I literally saw online the other day that there is a hat.
I saw that too.
That's made with the whole entire monologue, but this episode he's so good in the interaction with Sritala and watching her old footage and just getting drunker as it goes along, and the way he has these quips back with Rick and why he's like, yeah, it would have been nice to know that coming in. Like, and I just really like the comedy he brings to it, because there hasn't been a crazy amount of comedy this season to me. And sometimes they do a better job of balancing that. I think Parker Posey obviously has been hilarious. She's been the standout, but I think you need some of that comic relief a little bit to break up the tension, especially when the pacing could be the back and forth with the different characters and everyone's going with their own crisis. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed that scene as well. And just kind of the scenes between the two of them together, but don't know what's going to happen with him too. He's back on the wagon. So
well, should we do who our top three?
Yeah, let's do it. Dead bodies.
Give it to me.
My number one is still Mook. I'm sticking with it. I've had it since I believe week 3. I'm gonna stick with it. I think it would catch people by surprise. I think that it could be at the hands of Guy Talk. And again, we are talking dead body in the water.
In the water.
Not to say other bodies can't pop up, but that is my number one. Last week, I believe my number 2 was Chelsea. I am going to change that to Guy Talk. I do think that he could be the body. I don't necessarily want it to be the body, because I think literally since week 2, everyone's been saying it's going to be him. So that would kind of take the element away. But I think there is a chance that it could be him. I do think that my number 3 choice would probably be Rick. I think that there's a chance that we could see him kind of being chased by the bodyguards and having it have an effect. And maybe that's the case where his body's in the water, and maybe Guy Talk, trying to take them out, accidentally takes out Mook, and she's one of the other bodies. Maybe I'll hit all 3. Who knows? Liz, who are your choices?
I am still on Guy Talk as my number 1. I have said that since that first episode, and I'm going to stick with it. Number 2, I said Chelsea last week, and I am still going to stick with her as my second choice. I don't know if she's necessarily the body in the water, but I think she's definitely involved in the shooting somehow. So I'm going to keep her at number 2, and I am actually going to match you with Rick at number 3. I could see him being the body. I think I saw something online where somebody was like, he's also kind of wearing the same thing that the body was wearing, which was like white.
Okay.
So I think he's on the table, unfortunately, because
Walton Goggins stand out.
I don't want him or Chelsea, but I just feel like they are the like heart right now of the show, and I think that they're on the chopping block.
Yeah. I mean, you kill off either of them or Guy Talk or Mook, I think you're going to get a reaction from the audience being like, wow, that's sad.
That's sad.
That's like a sad ending that we don't want.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed discussing White Lotus with you guys. Let us know in the comment section, what are your guys' theories? We got one episode left, so speculate for the rest of the week. Let us know what you guys think. Again, thank you for all our new viewers for checking out our stuff. You can check out all of our other stuff as well on our channel. We don't just cover the White Lotus. We just finished our coverage of Severance. Liz, myself, and Michael were covering that show week to week for the 8 weeks it was on, 10 weeks it was on.
10
weeks it was on. We did that for a while. We have full reviews up of Invincible on Prime Video. We're currently covering Daredevil Born Again, and Apple TV Plus is the studio. In April, it's a crazy month. We got The Last of Us coming back. We have Andor Season 2 that Mark and I are going to be covering. We have movie reviews already on the channel for you guys. We have other movie reviews coming soon. We got Minecraft movie coming. So a lot of things that you guys can check out. And let us know in the comment section as well, or contact us if there's specific things you want us to cover. Let us know. We'll do our best to try to get to it. Give this video a like if you guys can, and subscribe to us here at the Culture Wave Media Network. Also, you can follow us on all our social medias if you don't already. All that stuff is below me in the video. It's also in our YouTube description. We don't just have our podcast there. We also post news in the industry. We post edits that we do, and it's a full-fledged kind of push for us to just do the things that we love to do, and we love to share it with you guys. So we appreciate you guys checking it out. Just signing off, I'm Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Liz Seiko.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.